what did you mean in the title of your book that the Jewish people had been invented?
It isn't a provocation. I meant it. I think that the Jewish people was invented. Like the French people, like the Italian people. You see, to build nations in the modern times, historians started to build to the past peoples. Between these peoples, I think that in the second half of the 19th century, the Jewish people was invented.
Now, you have drawn on all sorts of evidence to show us that things which most of us took for granted as having had happened, even if they did not justify the foundation of the State of Israel 2,000 years later, actually never happened at all. Tell us about some of that.
You know, in an interview in the radio, I can say one thing. To take, for example, the exile. You see, the exile is so important to the Jewish history. Everybody knows that the Jewish were exiled 2,000 years ago. But, you know, when I started to work about it, I was surprised not to find even one book, one research book about the exile. The exile of the Jew in the beginning of our time didn't happen. Now, it shocked a lot of people. It shocked myself when I started to work about it, but the Jewish were never exiled from Palestine.
If they were never exiled from Palestine, of course, then ipso facto they have no right of return to Palestine, still less a right to eliminate the word Palestine from the map and scatter its inhabitants across the world.
I didn't understand exactly the question. You spoke about the Palestinian today?
Yes.
Hello?
Exactly.
No, I think that it was exile of the Palestinian in 48. Yes, this is sure. I was talking about the myth of the exile in the beginning of the area.
Indeed, that's my point, that if the Jewish people were not exiled from Palestine, then even their tendentious claim of that exile to justify a return, a right of return, thousands of years later, is necessarily invalid.
Yeah, you see, even if the Jewish were exiled 2,000 years ago, I don't know why it is giving rights after 2,000 years to come back. Why 1,000 years is not giving rights and 2,000 is giving rights? You understand? The question for me, from the beginning, wasn't the problem of the historical rights of the Zionists reclaimed for the Jews to come back to Palestine. Even if it was a people, even if it was an exile, I don't believe that historical rights can justify the Zionist colonization. There is not a problem with it. You see?
Indeed, I do. Now, tell us some of the other myths that you basically bust in this important book.
You see, I think that diaspora, what we define as diaspora, I mean the existence of Jewish communities in the world, is the origin of this existence of the Jewish community is not exile and also not, emigration. I think that Judaism in the antiquity was a proselyte religion, and most of the Jews came from conversions, massive conversions that started in the antiquity and continued to the Middle Age. Then my conclusion in my book is to accept, first of all, the fact that Jewishness is a religion and not a people. Secondly, that most of the Jewish in the world are descendants of converted people. I don't think it's a shame to be a descendant of conversion, and I think that most of the Jews in the world are descendants of conversion. Now, in my book, I put it very, very in extreme, to put it against this myth of the Israeli society today, that they find themselves as a kind of an ethnos, you understand? Jewish, most of the Israelis believe that they are a direct descendant of the kingdom of David. You know, it's like, 50 years ago, most of the French believed that they are the descendant of de Gaulle. And the Italians believe that they are descendants of Julius Caesar. I think one of the last people that continue to believe that their ancestors were the Hebrew was the Jew. I mean, they continue to believe in this myth of identity, I think, put all the existence of Israel in a very, very bad situation.
Now, how has this gone down in Israel? The book's a bestseller there, but what's been the impact of this remarkable thesis of yours?
You see, it's very difficult to define the impact of a book. I don't think the book, as I wrote it in my preface, I don't think the book are changing the world. I think when the world is changing, he's looking for other books. The fact that so many people bought the book in Israel can make me optimist if I will not read the newspaper today. You understand? Now, a lot of young people read the book in Israel and continue to read it. The historians, the official historians, were very angry, very sick about my book. It's a very, very natural reaction. You understand?
Indeed I do, and I'm looking forward to your visit to Britain next week. We must meet up and have a proper sit-down interview. Anything I can do to help the book, I'm ready to do. Thank you very much. That's all I'm afraid we've got time for. If you've enjoyed the show, come back next week at the same time in the same place. God willing, until we meet again, may you go in peace.
Jesus Christ is the Lord. You're the one that's lost, okay? You're the Hebrew Israelite. That means you don't even know who you are. The real Hebrew Israelites are already in Israel. The fake ones are in Chicago and where you are. They're spread all over the United States, wherever they at. Those are the fake Hebrew Israelites. But the real Hebrews are in Israel, a place called Israel. There is an actual place called Israel.